December the 7th, 2021 หลวงพ่อโพสีสุริยะ Khemarato's Blessing Reflection เองเลย means ไม่เองเลย means ไม่ means เองเลย This is the essential implications regarding uninvolved within the uninvolved itself. Non-attachment to the non-attachment itself. Spread out the disregarding without obtaining itself so that it will be brightening out. Don't disregard in the way of being still and indifference. It's like brighten out without traces from the state of awakening or brightening itself. Disregarding should not be in the way of stillness or indifference. Disregarding in the way that is brightening out at the same time, in the way that is expanding itself at the same time. So that it will be the anupap or the mighty force of the blessing. When the anupap of the awakening and the brightening or plong and awakening is there, it has to be extending outwardly, widen out. Then it will be the anupap of the mighty force of the blessing. Stillness is not the blessing because it will not proceed the blessing. Mai or disregarding should not be in the form of indifference either, because such a disregarding or mai with stillness and indifference, there is no proceeding of the blessing at all. It has to be disregarding without obtaining the disregarding itself, in the way that is brightening out, in the way that is shining out, radiating, that is disregarding without obtaining itself. Then it will be the purification in all directions automatically. Be exact in the blessing, Disregarding without obtaining itself and widen out, radiating this anupap. The brightness that does obtain itself, plong does not obtain plong itself. Plong or the brightening that is not relevant to itself. Brightening in the way without obtaining itself, plong in the way that does not obtain itself. Without grasping means mai. Brightening in the way of mai, in the way of disregarding itself. Plong or brightening in the way without obtaining itself. With this, there will be unlimited in the purification and without traces as well. How is it that plong without obtaining itself? Plong in the way of mai, just like awakening in a way that doesn't obtain itself, brightening that doesn't obtain itself, awakening in a way that is not relevant to itself, plong or brightening in a way that is not relevant to itself, disregarding that is not relevant to itself. This is an auto-discarding in its condition, in its state. There is no such a thing as taking itself, its condition, its state, to become a realm of existence. Uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself, continue in the way that is self-discarding, auto-discarding. Continue in the way that is uninvolved within itself. The tiny bit of maintaining within the awakening or the brightening or the opening, the brightening, the expansion. We have to remind ourselves more often. Any conditions that are there, just uninvolved within the uninvolved itself, uninvolved within the conditions themselves. Within those conditions that are there, just uninvolved within the uninvolved themselves. Uninvolved within any attributes that are there. No matter how they are, just uninvolved within uninvolved itself. Just kind of releasing out, discarding the releasing, discarding the unwinding. This is called blossoming out of the blossoming. This is not just blossoming out of the budding. It is the auto-blossoming that discards itself. The blessing will be effective remarkably for the samsara. Samsara will receive the benefits right away. If there is no auto discarding, samsara will not receive the benefits enough. It will not be truly receiving the benefits, because there will be just a stagnation within those attributes or states of mind that is stuck in there. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. Uninvolved discarding itself to the utmost. With this, it will be benefits perfectly for samsara, which is purification of the emptiness. Uninvolved within the uninvolved itself, then whatever that is there will follow accordingly. Any state, any conditions that is there, just move on in the way without involving, then it will follow accordingly. The word uninvolved means discarding within the discarding itself. It is the letting go within itself, or self-letting go, auto-letting go. The word uninvolved, it is the auto non-attachment. Non-attachment to the non-attachment itself. Disregarding within the disregarding itself. This means that the disregarding will not turn into stillness or indifference. This is not just limited to the mind, to the disregarding. Then the benefits will be immeasurable for the samsara. This is not going to be limited only for the sake of extinction for oneself, liberation for oneself, or ceasing for oneself. Mind that is uninvolved with mind itself, disregarding that is not relevant to itself, will radiate without limits towards samsara. There will be self-purification within there, automatically. This is not just about for the sake of extinction for oneself or ceasing for oneself or ending for oneself solely. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself, it will turn into the great compassion that purifies samsara simultaneously without traces. It is not solely about liberation for oneself or solely ending for oneself. It is as well to share the essence immeasurably for samsara. Disregarding that is not relevant to itself, proceed altogether simultaneously. Samsara will be given the purification of extinction and emptiness simultaneously. It's impossible for the desire and the delusive attachment to persistently move on. This is beyond helping through unwinding and releasing normally. Once the uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself, is there, there will be purification of emptiness without traces that is immeasurably given, automatically as well. There will be purification of emptiness without traces right away. This is the essential implication for the blessing, to help giving ending for samsara. Continue with uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. Uninvolved discards itself. Uninvolved lets go of itself. Uninvolved doesn't obtain itself in such a way. With this, it will shift towards blessing automatically. The essence of no grasping even to the non-grasping itself is even beyond goodness. Not only that we have solely good stuff, but it's beyond goodness. Beyond goodness. All that is given here is not just good stuff. It's beyond goodness. No grasping even to the non-grasping itself. With this, it's like not stuck with senses and sense objects. We inform formlessness, body, mind, sense and sense objects, eyes, ears, nose, tongue. No grasping even to the non-grasping itself is a complete opening, fully opening. Without choosing time, day or night. It turns into the great compassion that is given for samsara with the purification of the emptiness. Continue with the conclusion. It will purify in all directions, in everywhere. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. There will be purification of emptiness in all directions automatically. It will not be fixing on any certain direction. Continue in the way that is uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself. There will be automatic purification in all directions. And there will be no limits to certain directions either. It will purify in all manners. There will not be any drowning within certain manner. Uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself, will release out from every sense and sense object. All things and all elements. It will purify all angles. It will be beyond helping through unwinding and releasing altogether. However, there must be a diligence in forming up the blessing. Benefit for oneself and others is simultaneous. Purification of oneself and others is simultaneous. Ending for oneself and others is simultaneous. Ceasing within oneself and samsara is simultaneous. Disregarding within itself. Disregarding within itself. Disregarding within the disregarding itself. Uninvolved within itself. Uninvolved within the uninvolved itself. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. Move on simultaneously with all the senses and sense objects. Benefit for oneself and others is simultaneous. Wherever you look, just look in the way that is uninvolved, even within the uninvolved itself. There will be the Anupav or the mighty force of helping to release and unwind altogether. It will be the Anupav of extinction and emptiness accordingly. It will not become solely looking, solely seeing. This is not only staring, aiming, or projecting towards anything. This is the purification for the setting mind or unsetting mind, for looking, seeing, and knowing. It is the purification for the staring, for aiming. It will purify all seeing, looking, and insights. Wherever you look or see in any directions, just see or look in the way that is uninvolved within itself. In the way that is disregarding itself, disregarding within itself, uninvolved within itself, purified through the extinction and emptiness in all directions. This is solely giving ending to help samsara through the purification of extinction and emptiness. It is not by way of presenting anything for samsara.